Frank and Mike in the morning here on the Giant 68K NBR at 9 a.m. Right after Frank and Mike, you know who it is.
I know, sure. It's Rush Limbaugh.
Good morning, Mr. Limbaugh.
Hi. How far are you guys?
Level check, test 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, how are you?
Okay, thanks.
WWL 870 AM News Talk Radio is your station for New Orleans' best midday conversation with Rush Limbaugh.
Stay tuned for ABC News. And then, of course, the mouth that keeps the Kremlin awake at night.
Would that be Rush Limbaugh?
I think it would. This is KFBK, Sacramento.
Bruce Hamilton here. Stay tuned for Rush Limbaugh following the news on 580 WDBO. Now stay tuned for the most dangerous man in America, Rush Limbaugh, next following CBS News on KOH Reno AM 630 and KOH FM Reno 101.7. It's 9 o'clock.
Mario Dell here on WPTF Radio Raleigh. I'll be listening for Rush Limbaugh on our station today at noon. I hope you will.
Rush Limbaugh follows CBS News on WOKV, Jacksonville's news station.
Good morning, everyone. You're in tune to KZIM, Cape Girardeau, the News and Sports Authority. Time is 11:06. Time now for the Rush Limbaugh Show.
No to that first call. Do.
And he's here to stay.
Frogman called yesterday, and I wasn't here. Does he not even turn the radio on anymore? Gee whiz. E-I-B.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rush Limbaugh.
Thank you. I really think that being born in the Midwest and raised in the Midwest, the so-called heartland, and the values of my family, I had a great family, and the traditional family values that I talk about, really I'm talking about my family. Mom and Dad stayed together, taught my brother the difference between right and wrong, disciplined us. I think that has, it's vital in my ability to relate to most people in this country.
It's just like his dad all over. Yeah. He is just his the political views are his dad's. I've always said he got his smarts from his dad, and I'm going to say silliness from me.
Well, the Limbaughs are not inclined to be people who have fun, laughing and all that, but Rush's mother is. And I would say that all of his humor comes from his mother.
We had 4- and 5-year-old kindergarten here at the college, you know, the training school they called it. And one day, the teacher, who is now gone, had me in for conference, like she did all the parents, and she said, if Rush doesn't, she called him Rush, if Rush doesn't change his ways, he'll never grow to be the man his grandfather is, or his father.
My dad, on the one hand, sometimes said, now Rush, what is the key to your success is that there are a majority of conservatives out there. Don't fool yourself by thinking you're an entertainer alone. You're predominantly interesting because of what you're telling the people. My mom would go, oh, Rush, you know, you're being too fuddy-duddy. The reason he's popular is because of his innovative approach and delivery. And I personally think it's just a combination of the two.
When I hear Rusty, I can't help but to think of his father, who he is so much like. When his father had a conviction about a thing, he didn't hesitate to say it. And he was like Pitt the Elder. if a thing needed to be said, he wanted to say it with emphasis.
You know, people talk about the Midwest as being a repository of conservative traditional values, and that my brother is a product of that, and if he had grown up somewhere else, would he be the same? And I submit to you that it's not a result of where he's from. I think it's a product of his parents and the values they instilled in him. When we grew up, our dinner table was basically a roundhouse debate every day. You know, you sit there and you get grilled by my dad about politics, and you know, it's grilled into you. But what was instilled in him is the desire to read, the desire to know, the thirst for knowledge.
I have been an active citizen in politics, and I think that I had something to do with instilling that idea in Rush Jr. Now, as far as Rusty is concerned, I don't remember that I ever was in a position where I caused my ideas to prevail with him, but I'm sure that his father was responsible for giving him that idea. And I think that he has lived it, and he is now, I'm glad to say, giving it to a large segment of the American people.
We're proud to welcome to Raleigh the most dangerous man in America.
Gosh, with the opportunity I've got here, I'm seeing this country, other people are paying for it, and I'm making money in the process. I am seeing the audience practically every week. I meet the people who make this country work.
When you hear the numbers of the stations, it's just numbers. But it's when you're out there with them and you can see the way these people react to him that you really get a sense of how big he's gotten. Yeah, it is pretty amazing.
A lot of people live life, and that's defined as going out and being active and doing things, watching people play golf, do this or play golf themselves, rather go out and play baseball. I live too, because I'm alive, the heart's beating, kaboom, kaboom, and so forth. But I live life by observing other people live it and then comment on it. And so my stories come from just what I observe other people doing and saying, and what other people might think. We get a new station on a network, and they'll invariably send in promos for me to cut to promote the show starting. And they always, without exception, say, and for the national view, to find out what America thinks, listen to the Rush Limbaugh Show. When I cut those promos, I don't cut them that way. I say, why do you people think that if you listen to my show, you're going to find out what America thinks? You'll find out what I think. I don't take enough calls to find out what you think. The only way you'll find out what America thinks is that you can trust most of America agrees with me. And insofar as that's true, you'll find out what America thinks by listening to what I think.
This sort of program was not heard on a national level before Rush Limbaugh. That's one need he feels. The other need is entertainment. I mean, so many people call here and say, I can't stand your views, I don't like you, but I listen to you every day. You're entertaining. It's not a mean-spirited program. It's a thoughtful, entertaining program. And that's what was needed in radio.
I saw some pictures the other day, and they're old. Last summer, Senator Kennedy was caught in a speedboat in waters off the coast of the south of France. And there was with him a scantily clad woman. And a series of pictures, not just one picture. One picture had her diving in. The next picture had him going in after her, which is unique. And see, I mean, it's the easiest laugh in the country is Ted Kennedy. And that's not even the joke. But, you know, it is a funny observation. And he was going in. He was, you know, have you seen, you know what the cannonball is when you go off the diving board, you scrunch yourself? He was holding his nose doing the cannonball. And then the next series of pictures showed this young lady and the senator in a prone position inside, down there in the boat. Which brings about this observation. Obviously, the senator has changed his position on offshore drilling.
Kennedy Clan is in trouble once more.
E-I-B.
Say, Mr. Kennedy, put back your banana. Kennedy Clan is in trouble once more. Uncle Ted is naked.
I think this. I think people turn on the radio for three things. Entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment. There are a lot of people out there who think I am the scariest guy in America. Why? Because I'm right. Because I'm having fun being right. And they think that I'm all about trying to change America, register new Republicans, make new conservatives. And that may happen. And if it does, I'm flattered. It's not the purpose. This is the key. I'm on radio. I want to be a success in radio. So I have to do those things that success requires in radio. First among them is getting ratings. You're just trying to get ratings in a show? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what my mission is. That's how my success is measured.
FK couldn't keep it in his own pants.
His grandparents lived next door to my house, and when we were in the 3rd grade, Rush used to take a CB radio over to his grandparents' house and spend a Friday night with a little 45 record player, and he would play music and be a disc jockey, and I'd sit over at my house with a little receiver and listen to him be a disc jockey, and then we'd call each other up and I'd critique what he did, and that's, as long as I've known him, he has always wanted to be on radio.
Saying more in 5 seconds than the average host says in an entire show. Rush Limbaugh, talent on loan from God, here on the EIB network.
I was the debate and drama coach at Cape Central High School. I recruited Rush Limbaugh. I think Rush Limbaugh is a natural. What I mean is, when he was 16, he was a local disc jockey, one of our local radio stations. And he was well listened to then. He was great at age 16.
With half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair, Rush Limbaugh serving humanity. How? Simply by being here and speaking.
The time I knew him, I thought he was destined for some radio. Yes, that's been his love. And I think it's quite remarkable that he, you know, has achieved what he's achieved, because he did it on his own with many hurdles to overcome. And I do know the Limbaughs, you know, go in for law. And I remember one day in speech two, coming down in that, I had my class in a rather large auditorium, and there sat Rush all alone. And when I walked down, he said, you know, Ms. Wright, I just don't want to be a lawyer. But I thought a great deal of his father, and I knew he would understand. I just knew he would. So I said to Rusty, well, why don't you talk that over with your father? And evidently, Rush Sr. did understand, because he did not pressure him into going into law. He always wanted to do radio.
Rush Limbaugh, with talent on loan from God.
That's more like it. Rush Limbaugh, endorsed by the angels. Who says you need calls on a talk show when you have me as host?
I think his first and foremost, though, is to entertain people, and I think that's what he wants. I think he wants to entertain people, use the radio, and use politics and the political arena to entertain people, talk about, contemporary political issues and values in society. Yeah.
His father and my father were very good friends, and oftentimes on Friday nights, the Limbaughs would come over to our house, or we'd go over to their house and have dinner. And his dad and my dad would get into these incredibly bellicose conversations about politics, usually about politics, economics, something, and they would just really get after it. And they were great friends, and it was as if they'd pick sides. And one guy would take one side, Rush's dad would take one side, and my father would take another, and they would just be screaming at each other. And recently my mom said, when I listen to the Rush Limbaugh show on the radio, it reminds me of those Friday nights.
Here is John in Evansville, Indiana. Hi, John. Welcome to the EIB Network.
Well, Rush, I've tried for months to get a hold of you, and I just come into my office, and I dialed it, and I couldn't believe it. I got through to you.
Well, glad you called.
Really, I hope you allow me to be a little critical of you without kind of jumping onto me.
As you know, John, we never tolerate calls from people who disagree with the host on this show. As you know, we hang up on everybody who disagrees within 5 seconds.
Well,
as you know, John, this is one of the most impolite, rude talk shows you can be on.
Great.
I am really getting resentful of you people who disagree with me because of whatever fear you might have, opening up by saying, Rush, I hope you won't hang up on me. I ought to hang up on you now for a second, because you know I don't.
I waited 35 minutes to talk to you, Rush.
Whoopee!
Well, earlier you coined a little term that said just to be fair, so be fair here for a moment. I'd like to talk about the war protesters, if I may. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous.
Hey, John,
yes,
John, hang on just a second.
Sure.
Again, you imply that I'm unfair and that I have to be, that if I am fair, it'll be an exception to the rule for you. Number two, says you wanted to talk about dope smokers, now you want to talk about protesters.
Well, I'd like to bring up both if I could. First of all,
I'm not a fair guy, John, and I ought to say you lied to the screener. You didn't tell him about what your first topic was. You're accusing me of all these hateful characteristics, and you can't even tell Bo Snerdley the truth about that which you want to speak.
Well, Rush, I'm not a liar. If you allow me to
I'm
get on
sorry. How does it feel to be accused of something you're not?
I'm not accusing you of anything, Rush.
Oh. Maybe it's my hypersensitivity here. But no, that can't be, because I'm insensitive. I'm a clod. I'm a boor. I'm a cold-hearted snob.
No, not at all. I listen to you every day, Rush. I just don't agree with you on some things.
Well, what are they?
Okay. Talking about the war protesters, there are a lot of people out there.
As far as cities go, I like them all. I think the great thing about it is to get to meet the people that I like to say who make the country work. And here we are. That's how the camera crew went through the door. It was just the right length before you started messing with it. Sorry to keep you waiting out there.
Okay, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
I bring dittos from the Louisiana Republican Party.
Well, thank you.
Of which I'm the vice chairman. Proclaim you Elephant de la Louisiana.
Oh, thank you very much. A segment on what it's like to be me.
Tell them about that VIP. Tell them about that band. Tell them about that band. Tell them about that band.
Let's give a warm New Orleans welcome to America's leading radio talk show personality, Rush Limbaugh.
The responsibility I've learned in doing this show over the years is incredible. I'll never forget, guy called one day during the discussion about defense spending, the typical argument we heard during Desert Storm. Well, if you haven't been to war, you had a chance to kill commies when you were 19, you didn't go, you coward, so you can't talk about it. You have no right. And I think that argument, of course, is specious, spurious. You don't have to be a drug addict to know that it's bad. And you don't have to have gone to the moon to know that it must be wonderful to do. And there are a lot of things. You don't have to engage in a lot of activity to know whether it's good or bad, and therefore to be qualified to discuss it. So a guy called and got on me about this, and I said, I want to diffuse this. I hate this. I'm tired of arguing with people about this. Let me try a different way. So I said, sir, I want to thank you for giving me a chance to lift a great burden. See, sir, when I was 19 and 18, I was a coward. I was scared to death. I didn't want to go over there. I didn't want to face those guns, sir. My dad, powerful attorney, small town, attorneys get things done, sir. I went to him. I got down on one knee. I said, Dad, if your wealth and power mean anything, you'll keep me out of this war. You'll do whatever it takes to get me out of this. And the next day, he went down to the draft board, sir, wrote him a $3,000 check, and I got a 4F. The guy said, well, thank you for being honest. I was trying to be so drippingly sarcastic, and I didn't succeed. It was the last call of the day. Everybody bought it. I got home that night and the phone's ringing. Pick it up. It's my dad. What the hell did you say? I said, I was just teasing. I was just kidding. They don't know that, son. Don't you understand? They believe everything you say, and you've blown it. There goes your credibility. You've lied to them, son. You never lie to them. They're never going to believe anything you say. They're always going to wonder now if you're kidding. What really gotten under his, everybody in the family was calling him, not me. My uncle, a Reagan-appointed federal judge in St. Louis, is he trying to ruin the family too? Is it not enough he wants to ruin his own self? Is he trying to ruin us? I also want to try to put talk radio into perspective for you, because I'm really glad for this question, because I think, see, my friends, I really feel a familial relationship, not familiar, but familial relationship, all of you, with everybody in the audience. I really do. I don't want to be misunderstood. Oh, Lord, don't let me be misunderstood. I don't want to be a mystery. I don't want to say things and have people say, what did he mean by that? Except the liberals, they can say it. But I don't want you saying it. I don't want to be misunderstood. And there are so many things. Ted Koppel asked me to come on Nightline to represent the American point of view. How can I do that? I don't talk. One day last week I didn't take a call for an hour and a half. There is no talk show host in the country, local or national, who can tell you, based on what happens on his show, what America thinks. It's virtually impossible to talk to all Americans. One thing, they don't all listen to talk radio. And more than that, only 1% of all who listen call. Bottom line, never lie to you. When it comes from the heart, when it's passionate about politics or social issues, never lie to you. I'm not trying to artificially pump you up just for my own cheap temporary thrill gain. I intend to do this for as long as I want to do it. And that means being honest, upfront, and sincere. And I am and will continue to be throughout however long I choose to do this.
Well, I think when it really hit me the most was when we went down to New Orleans. And when we were at the show, and all these people just couldn't take their eyes off him, and they're looking up saying, wow, this is Rush. We're teasing in the hallway. You just kind of get used to him being there all the time. And when these people were they're dying to meet him, they couldn't take their eyes off him the whole night. I said, wow, he really is big.
Rush, I paid $18.75 for your T-shirt. What is your cut? All of it. And of course, there's the story of the prestigious Wall Street law firm which had failed to name a female senior partner. So they felt pressured And they decided they'd better name a female senior partner soon, otherwise they were going to be vilified in the press. They had 3 candidates who were, they thought, all qualified to be the first senior partner. They wanted to conduct a test. They gave each candidate an additional $3,000 in her next paycheck and then studied them. Watch what they did with the money. The first woman looked at the check and said, "Oh my God, this is a mistake. Why I didn't earn this? Why I can't keep? I'll get fired if I keep this." And she immediately called their attention to it and gave the money back. Second woman looked at the $3,000 and said, "Oh, computer boo-boo. They'll never miss this. And if they do, I'll tell them I thought it was a bonus because I deserve one." And so she deposited it. The third woman took the $3,000 and deposited it in Wall Street, invested it, and doubled it. She took the original $3,000 and gave it back to the firm and split the $3,000 profit, $1,500 for herself, $1,500 for the firm. Which of the 3 did they name senior partner? The one with the biggest boobs is the answer. Thank you.
I've been in radio since I was 14 years old, in one form or another. This is the #1 broadcast in the world, and I am damn proud to be working with it. It's one of the, it's a highlight in someone's career to work with a winner, and that's when you think about every day for 3 hours that you can be, during the course of a week, reach 7 million people on a radio program. That kind of phenomenon has not happened in radio before. This is history-making radio. And yeah, it's a source of professional pride to work on it and to know every day that you can come in and do your best and have it pay off.
I want to introduce some people. I have brought with me from New York Kit Carson. Kit, would you stand up? Executive assistant. Kiki de la Garza is here. Stand up, Kiki. In fact, so they can, why don't you come up here so that they can see you? Why don't you? Come on, don't be nervous about it. Sue Ronneberger, another broadcast engineer, come on up. Come on, get her out of the chair. And James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, is here. These are the people behind the scenes who do work that you don't even know to enable me to do what I do. And I brought them along. I enjoy their company, and I want them to also see what happens on the road, and I wanted you to be able to meet them. They're great people, and thank you all for... What? You want to say something?
I've been waiting for this a long time. This guy is the best in the business. Make no mistake about it. Between all of us here, we probably have close to maybe 40, 50 years combined experience, probably more than that in radio. Rush Limbaugh not only is the best in the business, but on a personal level, behind the scenes, he's the same guy. And we love him.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You got Addicted to Love by Robert Palmer handy?
Drink nothing but Kawasaki, sake, Honda, wine, and Mitsubishi light beer.
Way to be, way to be, way to be. Whoa. Ray Stevens, that's his brand new song. We're all working for the Japanese. We thought it appropriate, given our discussion event today. Face it, folks, you are addicted to this show. No rehab necessary. The only healthful addiction in America, that being an addiction to the Rush Limbaugh Program. To Tucson, California, and Ernest. Hi, Ernest. Glad you called.
How are you doing, Rush?
Fine.
Dittos.
Thank you.
Got a couple topics. I know I told you, caller, I only had one at the time. But,
there we go, playing sneaky with the call screener.
No, the call screener, he asked what my topic was, and it was, I had caught part of one of your shows about something about carrots or carrot juice not being that good for you, or...
It's carrots. Anything to do with carrots. Yes, if you didn't hear that, we need to help you. Is it you want the details?
If I could.
Well, basically, what they have discovered is that anybody who has ever died in this country has eaten carrots. That's the basic umbrella. For example, everybody in 1859 who ate carrots now has wrinkled skin, no teeth. Many of them are blind. Most of them are dead. But those that are living are suffering the ravages of the disease like no one has ever seen. Virtually every cancer patient has eaten carrots. Anybody who has ever drowned has eaten carrots. It's a sad record that this vegetable has, and it's just something we pointed out on this show. Public safety.
Well, okay. As far as the question topic of the day, I wouldn't ask American card salesmen how their economic record went, because I don't think that the U.S. cars, dollar for dollar, are equivalent to the foreign cars.
But you've never asked them about their environmental record?
No,
now,
I
see,
have
it
not.
proves my point.
Yes, it does.
That's another thing. You know, everybody who's ever been in an auto accident has eaten carrots.
Yeah, I'm sure there's quite a few people that have eaten carrots.
Oh, I'll tell you, it's not good. It's not good. Ernest, thank you for the call. Glad you... All I have is being more informed than most people. I mean, that's what if I have a responsibility, it's what it is. It's what I've set myself out to be, is on the cutting edge of societal evolution. And I am an information junkie. I mean, I just, ever since I quit college and realized that I was going to have to demonstrate what I knew rather than have a piece of paper which said I supposedly was educated, that I was going to have to be able to demonstrate it. So I've just been trying to stay technologically ahead of everybody else, or at least up to what's the latest available that I can afford, that enables me to gather information from all over the world that might be applicable in any way, shape, matter, form, seriously, comedically, humorously, societally to my program. The computer is the simple best way to do that. A newspaper is just like my radio show. I'll take all of the stuff that I access, but I won't use all of it. Some of it won't interest me. So I'll only use the stuff, the same thing with newspapers. But the computer gives me access to things the newspapers decide they don't want to print. You can't read every newspaper from all over the country every day, but you can access the news sources that every newspaper in the country accesses to pick and choose. And it's not only a part of responsibility, but it's fun to me. So much of what I do is fun anyway that it doesn't seem like work. Therefore, I'm able to share what's fun to me with people on the air, so the whole thing becomes an exercise in fun.
He's refreshing. It's a welcome change. I enjoy him.
And he's fun to listen to.
Oh, man, you can't talk about an outgoing personality anywhere in the world without mentioning Rush Limbaugh. I mean, the guy's outstanding. He tells it like it is.
You're asking me why that Rush is the greatest talk show host in the world. And the reason is he has kept me from working between 12 and 3 for about a year. As a result, I have brought my attorney, Mr. Strickland, ready to serve papers to Rush for compensation that I have lost over the last year. Other than that, we enjoy it.
What do you got to say about that, sir?
Ditto.
If condoms should ever be distributed at public school functions, how they be meted out? A, one man, one condom. B, evidence of need, such as a note from your date. C, reputation, school stud versus eat. I got a question here about condoms, and it's funny, and I'll read it to you, and then I'll discuss it seriously for you. Rush, if condoms should ever be distributed at public school functions, how will they be meted out? A, one man, one condom. B, evidence of need, like a note from your date. C, reputation, whether or not you're a school stud or a geek. In other words, can the school nerd go to the clinic and say, I need a couple of condoms for Friday night, and get them? Or will the school nurse say, oh, come on, you're still a virgin, you don't even have a prayer. Who are you kidding? Then do you have to reserve them? And how will they be handed out ultimately? First come, first served. Oh, come on, lighten up. It's a serious problem, folks. You've got to have a little fun with this if you're going to deal with it. Have you heard about the thing in San Francisco? The FDA, there are some condoms out there that are manufactured as sugar-coated. I don't make anything up in these shows. I don't have to. Sugar-coated condom, the FDA has banned their importation into the country. San Francisco's flying the flag out there at half-mast. Could I see a show of hands? And I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Could I see a show of hands, seriously, because I may be wrong on this. How many people think giving condoms away in high school on demand is a good idea? Okay, some of you do. Now, surprisingly large number, I must tell you, even though I'm in the heart of the Bible Belt and in Raleigh, I was amazed at the number of people. Here, another question. In yesterday's Wall Street Journal, GOP Governor Tommy Thompson was quoted as saying, he's from Wisconsin, by the way, he was quoted as saying, most Republicans are too timid to take risks. Governor Thompson has managed to cut welfare spending, Wisconsin being the only state to do so, by aligning himself with unlikely partners, liberal congresswomen, for example. Your comments, please. Tommy Thompson has done some amazingly smart and brilliant things, and I want to focus on one of them to tell you about. Tommy Thompson came up with a unique welfare plan. It's called Learn Fair. Children of welfare families must attend school, or the families don't receive benefits. A brilliant plan. Why is it brilliant? Here's why it's brilliant. Number one, education is the single most important thing that can happen to a human being in preparing that human being for prosperity and life in this country. Education, nothing else matters at first. And that begins, by the way, in the home. Learn Fair puts kids in school. What's wrong with that? That's great. Well, the opponents of Learn Fair say, no, not good. Too much responsibility on the student. What do you mean responsibility on the student? He's supposed to be there. In the good old days, he was supposed, in the good old days, if you didn't show up at school, they called your home and said, where's little Rusty today? That's what they said at my house when I skipped school. Where's little Rusty? My mom said, well, he left. Didn't he show up? No, he didn't. People got mad when you didn't show up. Now, when you go to school, if you want to have sex, they give you a condom, send it to the backyard. If you get pregnant, they'll send you to an abortion clinic without your parents knowing. It's far different out there. The Learn Fair people say, the welfare recipients and lobby in Wisconsin, this is unfair. This puts too great a responsibility on the child. You know why they're upset? Because it takes them out of the loop. It works. You don't need a welfare structure anymore. I want to talk a little about animal rights. I love animals, and I really do. I love to take the occasion of these get-togethers, these performances, to try to explain away some confusion that might exist. I play Born Free by Andy Williams with all those sound effects in there, and I'll be interviewed by members of the press. Don't you think that you're really encouraging people to go shoot animals. I said, give me a break. You know, if you're going to accuse me of that, you better shut down every comedy show on television. And you better get rid of every movie that Tom Cruise stars in, get rid of every other movie that you can think of that behavior is depicted. Simple fact of the matter is that I don't view animals as human beings. Imagine that. Why, how discriminatory. Animal story. I love animals. The Exxon Valdez oil spill destroyed all those otters. I read about this in an insurance publication, by the way. They cleaned up as many otters as they could. Do you know how much it cost, based on how many otters they were able to capture up there and clean, divided into the total cost? $80,000 per otter to clean them. 80 grand per otter to clean it up. That's fine. Don't misunderstand. I love otters. Oh, yes, they're so cute. They sit there and they rub their bellies and they're doing it just to entertain you. They're sitting there saying, look at those idiot humans. They think I'm so cute. Well, at Valdez, or wherever this at Prince William Sound, when the water got clean enough, they had this big bash, this big party. Down at the beach, they're going to release the first cleaned up otter back into its natural habitat. They let everybody out of school. A high school band is there playing some song. They're going, it's a typical high school band, a little off tune, but everybody's in a good mood. Speeches by the mayor. Everybody applauding themselves on the wonderful work that they did. And this big ceremony, and they roll down the otter on this cage. It's on some cart with wheels. They roll it down there, and everybody's going, melting when they see the cute little thing. It's about to be released into the wild. Oh, we've done such a marvelous thing. We're so nice. They release it. It darts out, starts swimming. The band's playing. People are cheering. Yay, yay. It gets to the breakwater. Killer whale surfaces and swallows the damn thing. True story. Hush! I mean, the band stopped on a dime. The cheering stopped on a dime. People started crying. The insurance company representative said, damn, there's 80 grand. It just went down the tubes. This audience is great. Thank you, folks. You have been superb. I have enjoyed it. I love where you live. Thank you.
We definitely enjoyed it. We've been listening for years and years to his 3-hour show, and it was a whole lot better seeing him in person.
It's always going the wrong way.
Yeah, the show was fantastic. Rush came out here and just told the truth, and that's what we came to hear. We've been listening to him on the radio, and when you see him in person, it's like you get to know him a little bit.
I listen to Rush probably more than I should at work. I got a radio in there, and I'm not punching my keyboard. But usually I am punching my keyboard, listening to Rush at the same time. So he's got guts, and he says what he believes.
What'd you think of the show, Tim?
Loved it. I teach school, and every day during my lunch hour, I listen to Rush on the radio. And I've always wondered what he looked like. And I got to find out tonight, and I'm going to listen to him, and even more now. And anytime I get a chance to go see him, I'll go see him again.
You listen to him on the radio?
Every day during lunch. And past lunch, even during my class time I'm listening. The kids are wondering, where's the teacher?
How about euthanasia update? New update, ladies and gentlemen, inaugurated today on the EIB network. This is our euthanasia update.
Beautiful friend, this is the end. My only friend, the end. I'll never.
This will be a short one, so we'll be ready on the close.
Again. This is the end.
Our Our euthanasia update, ladies and gentlemen, will chronicle all of the right to kill cases that are now pockmarking our society and our country. They are not right to die, but rather right to kill cases. And in our latest file on right to kill comes this from Dr. Jack Kevorkian, the suicide doctor, who last year, and admit, this is amazing the way this is written, because this is the first time that I can recall it being written about properly in a newspaper. This is from USA Today. Listen to this. Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who a year ago helped an Alzheimer's patient kill herself. Note that it doesn't say Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who a year ago helped an Alzheimer's patient to die with dignity, which is what they're calling the right to kill. We must let them die with dignity. So we will starve them for 2 weeks. We'll remove the feeding tube, and we'll remove the IV, and we will kill them of hunger and thirst. That's called death with dignity in America today. But I think this is amazing that the whoever wrote this thing actually alluded to a woman being killed. Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who a year ago helped an Alzheimer's patient kill herself, said he'll do it again. Only privately this time. Let's not call him Dr. Kevorkian. Let's call him Dr. Death.
This is the end, my only friend, the end. I'll never look into your eyes again.
Rush Limbaugh. He's one of a kind.
Mopping my brow, perspiring slightly, my friends, running a mild temperature. Most hosts will be home in bed, but no, I'm here out of a sense of duty and desire. Serving humanity on the EIB network, Rush Limbaugh. Hey, the year of Limbaugh continues. Did I not tell you, way back in early April, what 2 cities would be given National League expansion baseball teams?
Yes, you did.
Did I not tell you it was going to be Miami and Denver?
Yes,
did I not?
Did.
I told you. And so yesterday it becomes known. I wonder how many of you people out there said, gee, you know, Rush told us that back in April. I don't think I've been wrong yet.
Rush Limbaugh. He's one of a kind.
The Reverend Jackson said that we lost the war.
Yes. And we fought it with foreign technology. Now, Rush, my question is,
yes,
what is the future of the Reverend Jackson in the Democratic Party and his being in the party?
I don't think that this idiotic statement by the Reverend Jackson will set him back, because it's by no means the first such idiotic statement he's made.
Rush Limbaugh.
My gosh, the light just went off. The light, thanks to you, Peter, the light just went. How is it that the Democrats keep approaching people as though they're stupid? And it's because they've been approaching their own voters, other Democrats, as though they're stupid, because they are.
Rush Limbaugh's program, what's your first name?
I'm going to have a pre-date agreement drawn up. And I'm going to put in this agreement anything that might happen. And if my date signs it, then she's in for it. For example, you might get kissed on this date. I might open the door for you on this date. I might pick up the check. I might buy dinner. I'm going to put all the possibilities that might happen in here. And since I am the epitome of morality and virtue, my friends, it'll be above board and above the gutter.
Okay.
Rush Limbaugh. He's one of a kind.
Stand by, folks, because I'm going to prove a point here. I'm going to nail it home. What would you think that the first measure of success that Mr. Stempel would make or would judge in trying to convince the public that Saturn is a viable product? Would it not be sales of the car? Would you not think that he would quote sales figures for the car and public interest and all that? I would, but that's not what he did. Do you know what he said they were most proud of when it came to Saturn? That they had received 5 environmental awards at their factories. What good is that if you don't sell any cars?
Rush Limbaugh. Oh, I'm bad. I'm nationwide.
And I'm having a good time, and that's why they're mad at me, folks.
Yes, I'm bad.
I'm right, and I'm having fun.
You're nationwide.
Let that be a lesson, by the way, to you young, perspiring talk show hosts out there. It is what you do on the air that gets ratings, not off the air. Never forget that. Back in just a moment.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Boing. Hit me.
The McClellan Air Force Base's museum director and
Hit me.
very well known and popular and Sacramento's own Rush Limbaugh.
I must tell you, this is really an honor for me to be invited to be included in a ceremony such as this, which, if you've listened to my program for any length of time, you know is this means so much to me, what has happened in this country since last August regarding the U.S. military. I have been one who has felt that the U.S. military has been unfairly attacked and assaulted, underappreciated, and I think so many wonderful things showed themselves in this country as a result of our successful involvement in the Persian Gulf, not just for the military itself, but remember the protesters who showed up, were shouted out. You showed up on their turf in louder voice and larger numbers. You rendered them impotent. 85% of the American people at the high point, 75% at the low point, admitted with great pride that they supported the policy and that they supported the effort. And the people who tried to say, well, we support the troops, but we don't support the policy, were not allowed to get away with such illogic. The purpose of the troops was victory, and they didn't support victory. But they tried to say they supported the troops to avoid being criticized. They were drowned out again. It was just a marvelous thing. In addition, I want to remind you of some of the things that were said as the war began, and I had to write them down. Normally, I ad-lib all of these kinds of speeches that I do, but this is so important to me, I didn't want to forget anything. I wanted to write it down. And I knew I would be somewhat nervous. You don't know what it's like to come back to Sacramento. I mean, this is the place which has made me what I am. I owe you more than I'll ever be able to say thank you for. And it's just gratifying. And I wish I knew the words to express what I really feel in my heart about all of you who've come out. And even those who didn't, who decided to sleep late, or those who overindulged adult beverages last night at the jazz festival. Now remember, they said first off that a volunteer army wouldn't work. A volunteer army was a peacetime army. It's not a war army. The sons and daughters of the rich aren't there. Why, this army can't possibly accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish. They also said that our troops were not well conditioned, wouldn't be able to withstand the heat of the desert. They said that Saddam's army was far more committed, far more willing to do whatever it took. Remember this? All these people are afraid to death to send our guys and women over there because this was just a volunteer army. They couldn't handle it. Our casualties would be 30 to 50,000. The length of the war would be a year or more. That's why we should let sanctions work. And that our high-tech weapons wouldn't work. They underestimated the most important thing about the U.S. military and about the United States itself. That is that we, in this country, enjoy freedom like no other people do. And it is freedom which allows you to be your best. And if anything, if any institution in this country epitomizes freedom and epitomizes striving for excellence, it's the U.S. military. And they showed that in this conflict. And everybody was as proud of them as they could be.
And it broke, and we could only put it on one station, so we agreed to listen to it.
Morning we listened to because our son was over there.
Yellow.
And you really helped us more than you probably ever know.
I've started getting invitations to go to Rotary clubs and Lions clubs and do speeches. Then eventually people started offering me money to come do speeches, Republican Party, Lincoln Day, that kind of thing. And I found that it was self-promoting. It, I think, added to the audience on the radio program. I think it humanized me. I think it got me out into the community, helped me learn the community faster. And none of my other competitors, if you will, were doing it. So it helped set me apart. Well, coming to New York and going national, the Lions Club happens to now be a city. And the speech now happens to be a stage performance. And rather than people coming in and having rubber chicken lunch, they're paying $20 or $35 or whatever the ticket price is to hear me go on for an hour and a half. Really nothing's changed other than the audience perception of me. I'm now national, I've got something to say, there's value in this. It serves many purposes. Affiliate relations. It shows the affiliates that there's value in me beyond just the radio show. It lets the audience see me. It lets me see America.
How are you folks tonight?
Just fantastic. Looking forward to the Rush Limbaugh show.
By the way, stay cool out there because I'm going to call you up and I'm going to say, oh, looks we got a problem out in the audience.
You want me to come up or just come at the bottom?
I'll just hand it to you. No, you can dust for fingerprints or something. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, happy that you've come out tonight. I'll bet you're wondering what you're going to hear. I mean, why have I come to a casino to hear a conservative? Wrong. It is I who have come to you. As Jesus said, you must go to the sinners. And so, it is my opportunity to straighten any of you out. Now, we're going to have some fun tonight. I have a lot to talk about. I'm going to push the envelope quite a bit. Please don't call yourself a pro-choicer, since you don't give your listeners a choice to believe in what they want. You abort what views you don't like. Ooh. Ooh. We have a real ignoramus here. I don't give my listeners a choice as to what they believe. I wish I had that power. If I had that power, there would be no more liberals. And everything would be okay. Where is my security guard? Ed? Dust this for Prince. Find this idiot. Get him out of here. By the way, my friends, I was given a complimentary pass to the Mustang Ranch out here. Did you hear this? Go. Does it look like I need to? It does. As the epitome of morality and virtue, that's all I need, is to be seen at the Mustang Ranch. You know, remember when they sold it, the government assumed control because of a guy was in arrears on, I'm sorry, terrible choice of words. He was behind. He had defaulted on his tax payments. The government went in there, and I thought, this is awfully strange, government running it. And then somebody said to me, no, Rush, it's about time. The government's had their noses in our business long enough. It's about time to get other body parts in it. Of course, my favorite line, of course, was mine. That is, if you're going to have the U.S. government running the Mustang Ranch, you got to be consistent. You got to take tests and all that at the government to work, and you get grades and levels and promotions and all that. At the Mustang Ranch, we have to call it civil cervix exams. And Senator Kennedy said he'd look into that. I must tell you, I'm trying to get serious here, and it's impossible. Those of you who have served in the military, in whatever role, I think that the display the American people have exhibited since the deployment of troops to the Saudi desert has just been overwhelmingly positive, long overdue. And I think that it's about time. I was really worried. It was a long period of time. The dragon of Vietnam needed to be slayed, and this did it. The lessons of U.S. military involvement were for too long that we were over the hill, that our bombs and weapons didn't work, that the military was the tool of the devil, tool of corporate interests. It served no useful purpose in America anymore. And of course, that was never true, and this country needed exactly what we got from Desert Storm. And I personally want to thank everybody who's ever been in the military, because I'll tell you, especially those of you who volunteer, well, just everybody. And I don't want to impugn anybody by singling out volunteers, but I remember during Desert Storm, all of these people back here, this guy in Milwaukee, Alex Molnar, whose son joined the Marines. And Alex wrote George Bush a letter, published in the New York Times, if my son dies, the blood of his death will be on your hands. And then there were all of the peace protesters here who, of course, said, it's not fair. It's a volunteer army. The sons and daughters of the rich aren't there. The sons and daughters of CEOs aren't, all of this stuff that didn't make a hell of a difference. This perhaps one of the best equipped and best trained armies we've had. And the greatest thing about it was, the greatest thing, the only people who complained were people who stayed here, like in San Francisco and Seattle and other places that had all these resolutions where people who didn't want to go could show up. Nobody showed up. The people who were over in Saudi didn't quit. The percentage of people who left went AWOL, statistically 0. People who join the military or who have served offer their lives in sacrifice for this country. It's something that few of us would do. They did it, you did it. That's why we call them brave, that's why we call them courageous. I, for one, thank you very much for the sacrifice that you make. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I do.
Even though it's a talk radio show, it's almost comparative to the top 40 music format because it's so fast moving and you're constantly going. But this show, I think because we get to put so much input into it, he does let us put a lot of input into it, and you feel like it's more like our show than, well, it's his show, but we all work together on it.
Hey, you know what we got to bring back, Kiki, is liposuction. The caller abortion machine, which we can't use, to suck liberalism out of callers. That's what we got to do.
You know what else we got to do?
What?
I've been thought of this before. Throw the screams in Under Armour Philanderer.
Hey, play it coming out of the break and throw the screams in there. Loud. Make them loud.
I think it's a very tight interaction on this type of show than there is probably on a lot of other shows. Our other talk shows here, mostly the engineer just sits there and plays the commercials, and they take care of the callers. It's not nearly as tight. It's almost like a family. And we all have to work together.
Oh, hi. Rush Limbaugh here on the EIB network. My friends, a recently remixed version of I'm a Philanderer. And after this, my friends, we're going to offer liposuction to those of you who need it.
Oh, well, I'm the type of guy who will never settle down. Where pretty girls are, well, you know that I'm around. I kiss them and I love them, cause to me they're all the same. I get so gosh darn hammered, I don't even know their name. Cause I'm a philanderer, yes, a philanderer.
We all have to work together as a team to make it work. And Rush is a very good leader. He's very good at making you feel comfortable and making you feel valued.
Not at all what I asked him for. I told him I wanted, just like Up, Up, and Away, I want a minute and a half for 2 minutes open with a song.
English language 44.
He understands the theater. He understands the drama of it. He understands the subtlety of it. I mean, there are so many times when he could do a story one way, and he just chooses to come with a very subtle line, but it makes the point.
Let me try it a different way. When we say that traditional American values are on the ropes, have been lost, we need to recapture them, what are we really saying? What we're saying is we need to re-establish and to strengthen the American family.
I think if you look at broadcasting, radio broadcasting in America, it's become formulas for the most part, whether you're talking about music or talk. A lot of people become comfortable with formulas. This is not a formula program. This is innovation, it's spontaneous, it's everything good about radio.
Rick Pierce is the victim, 39, in serious condition. Yesterday, after undergoing emergency... Would you stop laughing in there? This is a serious story. A guy got a golf club embedded in his head, and you're in there chuckling. I know his last name is Pierce. I know the two names here are Headley and Pierce. This is a serious stuff. I did not make this up. You know what? I should have changed the names so that you people in there wouldn't distract me. Snerdley and De La Garza have lost their cookies.
This is just part of the overall program. And relax, get a grip, and enjoy it.
I think the conservatives have not had a voice, and I think Rush is the voice. He's really echoing a lot of the things that some of the other conservatives say, but I think he's reaching more people.
I know Rush quite often says he's about 94, 96% right, but actually I think more like 99 and 44 100%. The other 56 100% I think is just when he's been given the wrong information, you know, just statistics maybe.
See, what he does on his radio show is talk about things that fascinate him, which are the things that are topical, current events of the day. So he's not working in the sense of a grind. He reads newspapers because he likes to read them. He loves to learn about current events and then talk about them. And he's now paid to do that. But I think that enthusiasm that he has for it is contagious, and I think that spreads into the listening audience.
Rusty challenges people to question what their political beliefs and why they think the way they do, as well as society's values. And I think that's one of the major things that he does. It's a contribution, is challenging people to question, think about what they're doing, what elected officials are doing, or not doing, for that matter.
There's a majority of conservatives in this country, and my brother has hit a nerve. People are craving that. They don't hear that in the media at all. People don't have the guts. People that are conservatives don't have the guts to say what they believe in the national media. And he's come out and just, he's said things without fear of reprisal. He doesn't owe anything to anybody. He's independent. He owns part of his own company, and he can say what he wants as long as he doesn't slander or libel people. And as a result, people are loving that.
He offers an explanation to American people of how the political world works, or for that matter doesn't work. He provides explanations of how bad the Democrats are, or how bad Ted Kennedy is, whatever the particular issue at the given time is. You know, I think Rush offers, if he didn't have that large of he wouldn't have that large of a following if he didn't offer people a sense of satisfaction, and he makes some kind of order out of what appears to be political chaos.
Well, another reason he's so popular is because he has allowed conservatives to be seen and perceived as compassionate, because he's not so serious all the time. See, all conservatives are so serious. I'm sitting there watching these conservatives on TV. They're so serious it makes me embarrassed. Look, you don't look human. You know, these guys up in the national media. I love these guys. I just don't think they project a good image. My brother shows that conservatives, through his sense of humor, can really be human. And I think that's really one of his keys to success.
The foundation of our values are conservative. I can't help but believe that there is in this generation, and there will be in future generations, a conviction that those values are, after all, basic, and that they ought to be preserved.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad to see such enthusiasm so early in the morning. Good. A new sign. I'm glad you've all got it. You see somebody you think they might be a ditto head, give them one of these. This is Ditmarks in motion. I want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this today. I've had so many good things happen to me in the last 7 years of my life. I don't know if you're this way. I kind of think that you are. When you have good things happen, you want to share them. I have had the opportunity to meet some of the leaders of, if you want to call it the conservative movement, I'd rather not, but it'll suffice as a label. Some of the leaders in the areas of life where we all agree. These people are people you should get to know. They're people that you should be able to see and congregate with and talk to, because if there's one thing that the conservative movement in this country needs, is confidence. We don't control the main media in this country. The dominant media culture is dominated by liberals. Movies, newspapers, books, magazines, TV news, the whole thing. And so the things that we believe are not trumpeted as normal. We are impugned, laughed at, and made fun of. And unless there is a leader, unless there is a Ronald Reagan type, we just go about living our lives and we show up on election day and register our voices that way. And I think we need to register our voices more often, and I think we need some confidence, and I think we need some enthusiasm. And that's why the National Conservative Forum has been put together, and we hope to do a series of these all over the country. Our goal is to do them 3 to 4 times a year, this being the first. The speakers that we have assembled today are people who are just like you. They're just like you. They're fascinating to listen to. They are involved. These are the people who have their shirt sleeves rolled up and are actually involved in the policy-making areas in this country, and are actually trying to implement the things that we all talk about. And you should hear them. You should meet them. They are inspirational. They're funny. They're just like everybody else. And this is the opportunity that I wanted to present to people. I've had the chance to meet them. I just am I'm like having an adult Christmas morning every day of my life. And I want to share that with you. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is going to get you fired up. He'll have you laughing. Listen to him very carefully. He has been involved in the policy-making areas of education. He is the former drug czar of the United States and a jogger. Secretary of Education, William Bennett. Bill?
I want to pay tribute to our Master of Ceremonies and our host, Rush Limbaugh. It is no surprise that he has the largest audience, radio audience in America, because what he says is sensible. It speaks to what the American people care about. And one other thing, Rush Limbaugh has reminded us all by the way he runs his show that we should be of good cheer, that we should be of good humor. It is a sin, I was taught, to curse God's creation, not to take joy in God's creation. And the good cheer, the goodwill, the good humor of Rush Limbaugh's show, I think, is a reminder to those of us who are conservatives that we need to be optimistic, that we need to see things in the right light, the proper light, and not to get down so that we can't fight another day. Rush Limbaugh is becoming a national resource, and it's a very, very good thing indeed.
Limbaugh, serving humanity, executing everything I am supposed to do flawlessly with zero mistakes here on the EIB network. Here's Gil in Memphis, Tennessee. Hi, Gil. Glad you waited. You're up next to the Rush Limbaugh Program. I'm not making it up. Why would I make this up? I don't have to make any of this stuff up. May as well just say 400 stations on the network. We'll be there someday. But anyway, thank you very much. Our audience now well over 7 million. And we are ecstatic at this, and thank you very much for it. The show is the thing, and whatever it takes to make the show the best is what I want to do.
What's your favorite part of the show?
Rush.
Everything.
Thanks a lot. Rush Limbaugh.
We loved it. We watched him or listened to him every day. We loved him tonight.
Very well.
Yes.
It was real entertaining. He's funny, intelligent.
The views expressed by the host on this show will soon become federal law. Why? Because they are grounded in truth, decency, dignity, and respect for the individual.
I have never heard him before, so that's why I'm here tonight.
So what was your hit?
I loved him.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. He really is. He's very interesting. He's very informative. I mean, I learned a lot tonight. I really did.
First time, I'm a fan now. I'm a fan of Rush Limbaugh. The guy's awesome.
The tears symbolic. The sobbing and sadness all over America as the final segment of the Rush Limbaugh program for the day has arrived. See you tomorrow. Another exciting edition of Excellence in Broadcasting in the Cave.
Built a new single-family home. Weather for the Bay Area, sunny and has to go to make room for the 92. Kennebunkport, Maine News Conference.
This guy's too good.
And ABC News watch. Get serious, Marge. Switch.
I know my mom is going to love this.